Good morning and welcome to Farm Factor. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom. On today's show, Kyle Bauer visits with Carl Jarboe to talk about managing the aftermath of the Medicine Lodge fire. Then enjoy this week's Kansas Soybean update. Next, Duane Toews talks with Tim Parks from Merck Animal Health about the cattle industry and the progress in animal pain management. Then it's this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update, and we'll end with Plain Talk featuring Kyle and Duane. Stay with us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome to Farm Factor. Up first today, Kyle and Carl Jarboe talk about wildfires and land management.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer visiting with Carl Jarboe. He is with NRCS. He's a soil conservation technician. A few years ago, we had a huge fire down in Barber and Comanche County in Kansas. Took out lots of fences, burned off tons and tons of foliage. Since then, though, Carl, what has been the aftermath of that?
You know, really, Kyle, it's one of those things that we have a lot of benefits from that fire. We were able to control cedar trees that would not have been controlled in a prescribed fire, for example, because of the heat and the intensity. Because of all the cedar trees, that's why that fire was out of control.
I understand, though, after they burned, though, and I've been down through there, and there is a lot of dead trees still standing, but you have a program for that as well.
That's correct. Through NRCS, we have an Anderson Creek Wildfire Initiative where we cut dead standing trees. Fellows are able to come in, different ranchers come in and apply for cost share to help do that, where we can go in and cut those trees. They're either mulched or they're cut to be burned at a later date.
Why is it important to take those out?
With those dead standing trees, of course, you're limiting access to livestock. Those things get pokey, Kyle. They get really hard on livestock. Also, birds will roost in those and drop more seeds. So we're going to have cedars right back in amongst those dead cedars.
Well, and certainly in that area, you couldn't take them out. As those little cedars come, there's maintenance that has to happen. And without taking out those, do you call them carcasses?
When they're down on the ground, they're a carcass. Yeah, once they're knocked over. And, the wind will do some of that as time goes on.
Is there any useful thing that those dead trees can be used for?
There is a contractor who comes in and cuts those trees and then runs them through a giant mulcher, and they bag that material for landscape mulch. So, yeah, there is a useful. They also sometimes use that cedar mulch in the oilfield industry.
After the fire, it was like almost a godsend. We got a huge snow, brought that grass on. It really looked to be a lot more promising after that, but there's got to be some adverse effects as well.
One of the things we've seen, Kyle, is that we have an awful lot of sumac coming back in. The Chinaberry or soapberry trees are sprouting, and where you had a grove of 15, you now have a grove of 50 growing around those dead standing trees. So we do have some maintenance that has to follow up to get that range back in a good grazing situation.
I've heard after a burning at the wrong time of the year, you'll end up with a lot of weeds as well.
And that is one of those things when you have all that bare ground, it's opportunity for weed seed to germinate. And we've seen a lot of that, and many ranchers are very concerned about those weeds, as they call them. I always tell people they're a wildflower to a nature enthusiast, they're a weed to a rancher, and a forb to a range manager. So depending on what they are, whether or not it's really important that we control them, it should be as we manage the grass better. A lot of those will take care of themselves.
Been visiting with Carl Jarboe. He's from Medicine Lodge, Kansas, talking rangeland management. This is Kyle Bauer reporting. Back to you, Jamie.
Thanks, Kyle. Folks, come back after these messages for this week's Kansas Soybean update. Welcome.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers, farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
With nearly 100 years of broadcasting excellence, Ren Radio is now live on the internet playing hit songs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Join Jack Diamond, Mac Collins, Les Glenn, Frankie C., Antonio Barber, Wings Callahan, and the real Don Steele for some of the best music ever recorded. Hear it at rendigitalmedia.com or get the Ren Oldies Radio app in Play Store or App Store and tell Alexa, good times and great oldies on Ren Internet Radio.
This segment is brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Soybean Update.
This is the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Marcia Boswell joins us. She serves as conference co-chair for the Women Managing the Farm Conference. And Marcia, registration is now open for the 2019 Women Managing the Farm Conference, February 7th and 8th in Manhattan.
So if you register by December 14th, you can get the early bird rate. So if you are thinking about coming to the conference, it would be great to go ahead and get registered.
You've got quite a lineup this year as far as keynote speakers for what has been a great conference that's taken place since 2005.
So we have 4 keynote speakers lined up for this year's conference. Jason Lusk, who is a food and ag economist, and he's the author of Food Police. He's going to be our opening keynote speaker on that Thursday morning. And then we have attorney Stacy Seibel from Hayes, who's going to be talking about estate planning. Dr. Michael Taylor from K-State is going to be presenting on navigating negotiations. And then our wrap-up keynote on Friday afternoon is Amanda Friend. She is a farmer from Connecticut, and she's going to be sharing farm stories from the family's kitchen table. We also have the pre-conference sessions.
That will take place on February the 6th, and a lot of activity taking place for that, too.
Women actually have 4 different opportunities for pre-conference sessions this time. And one that we've offered in the past is QuickBooks, and this time we're going to have a beginner session in the morning on that Wednesday, and then a more advanced session in the afternoon. We'll also have 2 choices where people can be bused over to the Highland Community College campus there in Wamego and learn about viticulture and precision ag.
And networking is such a great avenue here.
Yeah, and we're actually changing up the networking sessions a little bit this year. It's been a more formal setting in the past. And this time we're going to have round tables where people can break into small groups and share their stories among each other. And that's just a great opportunity for networking.
If people want more information and get in before the early pre-registration deadline, what's the best way they can do that?
That is on the website at womenmanagingthefarm.com. We also have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/womenmanagingthefarm. And we are posting the different information for the keynote speakers, but we don't have the breakout sessions all completely on the website yet. So go on the Facebook page and follow that so that as we're adding those breakout sessions, you'll be able to follow along and see what's available.
That is Marcia Boswell, who serves as the conference co-chair for the 2019 Women Managing the Farm Conference. She's been our guest on the Kansas Soybean Update. It's brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Learn more at kansassoybeans.org. For Kansas Soybeans, I'm Greg Akagi.
Hope you enjoyed this week's Kansas Soybean Update. Stay with us after the break for more with Duane Toews and Tim Parks.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well in their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but yet we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we'll be glad to answer it and work with you.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
This segment brought to you by Sure Crop, liquid crop nutrition delivered right to your farm.
We're back. Now we learn about the industry's progress in animal pain management with Duane Toews and Tim Parks.
Duane Toews joining you once again here on Ag AM in Kansas, and an opportunity to catch up with Dr. Tim Parks, Merck Animal Health. And Tim, we think about one of the issues within the industry that's gaining some importance and relevance within the industry of beef cattle is pain management, and that's really kind of a new concept for guys to think about.
Yeah, pain management's been around. It's been a topic for several years now, but if we think back to BQA and what the goals of BQA were, it's trying to help us as producers, us as veterinarians, educate the consumer. And there's the disconnect that we have between the consumer and what we're doing out here. And one thing that we find coming from our consumers these days is, they want to know what we're doing in our business. And one of the things is pain management, whether it be around in the food animal producing sector, all sectors of it, just the protein business, making sure that we're addressing that. And it's also a topic that within the industry has really come to become a highlight.
A couple of facets of that. One, looking for the well-being of the animal that we're dealing with, and two, that perception that we're doing everything that we can do to provide a wholesome product, but doing it in a humane manner.
Exactly. I mean, our consumer, they want to feel good about what they're eating and know that it was raised in a manner that was humanely raised. And I think as an industry, we've seen it in Europe, we've seen it in Canada, where we've seen regulations come into play, and it's within the industries now, but it's coming to the top of the industry to where we're really wanting to try to get on top of this and address concerns around pain. One of the issues we've had though is the use of pain meds in food animal production has been in an extra label drug use manner. We just haven't had anything that's been approved for use in animals. So until last year, July last year, when Banamine Transdermal was approved, that was the first product that really had a pain claim associated with foot rot that we saw for food animal. So when it comes to using pain meds, it's extra label drug use, which means it has to be under the direction of a veterinarian, and that veterinarian and that producer are assuming the risk of any residues that may come about from the procedures that they're doing.
We think about the opportunities, not only from the social side, but looking at the performance side. The more comfortable we can make animals through some of the procedures that we utilize, the better off we are long-term in their performance as well.
Yeah, it's, a lot of the research that we're seeing done right now is based around, we want to look at the economic side of it, but at the same time, we got to keep in mind that, we need to be doing what's right with the animal too, and so there's a lot of the economics that go into play. But like Dr. Coetzee during his presentation today at Stalker Day said that even if the economic advantage isn't there, we really need to think about the social side of what we're doing and really make sure that we're addressing the concerns of our consumer, and they know that we are hearing what they're saying and we're doing the best we can to alleviate those.
One thing to emphasize, though, a point I want to go back to is what you referred to is that there are only very few things that are labeled for use in that manner. It's a matter of pharmaceutical companies working with FDA, USDA, and all those parameters. Currently, Merck Animal Health with the Banamine Transdermal, really the only product at this point.
Yeah, and a lot of it has come back to making sure that we can objectively evaluate the effect that we're having with the product on the animal. And with the pain claim associated with foot rot that we had with Banamine Transdermal, that was achieved by being able to really pick up some measurements, looking at contact area, looking at pressures via a big pressure mat that we're able to walk animals across. And it was very effective in showing the benefit of treatment of foot rot with the product. And the hope is that this will open up some opportunities that we can look at some of the other procedures that use this pressure mat to try to get these more objective numbers rather than some of the subjective things where we're just looking at it and trying to assess a score. We're actually able to get some numbers that we can put down on paper and repeat.
Our thanks to Dr. Tim Parks joining us here on Ag AM in Kansas. Jamie, we'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Duane. Come back after the break for this week's Kansas Farm Bureau update.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
About 6 jumps later, I was laying on the ground and thinking, boy, my shoulder sure hurt. I kept waiting and it didn't get better and didn't get better. I'd heard about Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center on the radio. Gotten down there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 11:30 the procedure was all over, and it just kept getting better and better. And within 6 weeks I was back digging post holes and doing the other hard work that I'd been doing before the accident, and I'm really pleased. It's really worked out well for me.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Welcome back to Farm Factor and the Kansas Farm Bureau update.
I'm Marita Hauser, and I reside in Grant County, which is in the 9th District. My husband and I are grain farmers, and I'm a state board member. I'm involved with the women's leadership as the state chair. You know, each district surfaces a woman who serves on our committee. Each county has the opportunity to have a women's chair. Oftentimes they serve as women's chair at the county level, and then they move up to a level on the district and serve on the state committee. We try to recruit from those ranks. We try to have our district women develop a relationship with the county women's chair and promote all of the different things that Farm Bureau has to offer. We do a lot of advocacy, we do a lot of ag education, but I think it's really important that women step up to the plate and give their viewpoint. I think women have a unique perspective on a lot of issues, and I think that perspective is important. Well, we take the issues as they come up. That's the thing. One that I remember talking about a lot was farm safety and children working on the farm. And, farm safety is an issue that's near and dear to all of us. Mothers, we tend to look at that maybe a little bit more often. And so the women stepped up and took a role alongside the men and the kids to say it's important that our kids are able to work on the farm, but we do need to look at safety as well.
Stay with us. We'll be back after the break with Plain Talk.
Tarwater Farm and Home is a 40-year-old local family-owned business. Clothing for work and play, seeds and feeds, boots, toys for the kids, and tools you'll need for around the house and farm. And a service department to keep them in top running order. It's a big store, so take some time to see what they have for your farm and home. Tarwater's everyday pricing is like others' sale prices. When you need it, they've got it. Tarwater Farm and Home, 4107 North Topeka Boulevard.
Kim Mandarin with Hardy Insurance. I'm here to help you with all of your farm and ranch needs. When it comes to protecting your operation and your family, you need a name you can trust at a price you can afford. Call me today or visit hardyaviationins.com.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at KFRM.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Corn. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Welcome back. Now let's see what Kyle and Duane are up to on Plain Talk.
Hi, this is Kyle Bauer with Plain Talk with the man who enjoys long walks, especially when it's by people that annoy him, Duane Toews.
I thought you were really going to give some sappy long walks and on the beach and love novels or something. Really? You're going to throw me into the bus like that?
Yeah, no, you like those long walks. Anybody that annoys you, why don't you take up walking?
There's a sign that I've seen in a couple people's houses. I haven't really asked them how I fit into it, but it says by the door, all people who pass through bring joy. Some by entering, some by leaving.
Yep.
Yeah, and I haven't had the courage to ask, so where do I fit on that?
I think if I had that sign up, I would be ready to basically say, it all depends how things go here.
Just
up
depends
to you.
on your attitude today.
Up to you.
Back in 18th century England, Kyle Bauer.
1700s.
Gambling rooms in England had a individual in charge of the dice who would swallow them if raided by police. Fact or fiction?
I told you I was going to start popping off the answer just like that because I'm overthinking things.
Yeah.
And then I thought, no, God has given me a lot of life experiences, and I should
utilize
them.
utilize my brain.
Them.
Think
and then
about
I thought, well, how many illegal dice games have I been in? And how many times have the police raided them? And what did we do with the
dice
with
when
the
it
dice?
happened?
And it's like, I don't remember any of those things. So I'm going to go with they were bones. It was like, I'm going to go fiction.
It's true.
It's true. Your job was to swallow the dice.
There was someone whose job was to swallow the dice if there was a police raid.
I was thinking 1700s. I mean, it's like, why would
I can't imagine
that it was
I'm
illegal.
surprised that it was illegal. Yeah,
probably because they couldn't tax it. In all seriousness,
well.
I mean,
true.
That is the biggest thing with gambling on state-sanctioned gambling over the years is it's like government's all for it.
But we can't get
as
our
long
piece
as
of
they
it.
can get their share from it, they're just fine with it. So isn't that way with all kinds of sin taxes? It's okay.
Well,
we're against sinning unless we can tax
Unless
it.
we can tax it. We got your cigarette stamp. You got your
alcohol, you got your
stamp.
gambling. It's like as
Yeah.
long as we can get a good way we'll sanction it.
And most of those are a tax that's willingly paid by the participants.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're not necessarily happy about what the
The
rate
lottery,
is.
for instance, everybody knows it's terrible odds.
Right.
But everybody that's
millions of people every week.
Exactly.
Give it a
Everybody
go.
that participates is a willing taxer.
Yeah.
Taxer.
However, you have a shot at getting something back on that, which theoretically we all get our taxes back in services from the government.
That's true.
We might argue about
whether
how
we get our share or
and how it's
like,
being used
I
and
mean,
divvied
all
out.
of your taxes that come to me are great. All of my taxes that go to
Yeah.
you, not so happy
If
about.
they fix the road out in front of my house, you're not happy. But if they fix the road in front of your house, it's just fine.
I have a question for you.
What's
okay,
that?
if let's just say there's 2 blocks in a town, and
Two
one
block
of
town.
well,
Or you're
it's
picking
not
out.
the whole block.
I was like, well,
just
that's a little
random.
town. Been in a few of those, lived in one.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the point. This one has, I'll just go easy numbers. Okay. This one has $1 million worth of taxable valuation.
Okay.
Okay. And this one over here has $100,000 in taxable valuation.
All right.
Okay. So should there be a difference on when each of those streets gets redone?
I think it would make sense if the city council
Well, I mean, whoever's making
viewed
the
it
decision.
that way, or city
Whoever's making-
planner,
somebody's gotta make a
administrator.
decision, right.
Right. If you got $1 million worth of commerce, so to speak, or taxable valuation versus $100,000, I think it makes logical sense to take better care of the street that has $1 million
worth of valuation.
Everyone that would like to use this video, please feel free to do so.
Call Duane.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Jamie Bloom, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. See you next week on Farm Factor.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.